Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a box a lot of us have been waiting for. The Art of David Munrow, his complete Warner recordings. And there were quite a few of them, 21 of them, actually, in which he either features doing his own thing or he participates with others in performances of early music. Munrow was one of the pioneers of the period instrument movement, the rediscovery of early instruments and that repertoire. He was an extraordinary musician, an amazing talent. He suffered from mental illness, from depression, and he committed suicide in 1976 at the age of only 33, having left behind a very impressive legacy. Really an amazing, he had an amazing impact on the musical world for somebody so young. Just fascinating person, but I can't really go into that now because we have to talk about 21 CDs in the box, and they are interesting, and there are some things in here that all of us older folk really got to know this repertoire from and became fascinated with early music as a result of David Munrow. So you get the usual little boxlet here. He could do anything, by the way. He played the bassoon. He played all these early instruments. He was a conductor. He was just amazing. He really was a brilliant musician and an amazing creative mind. Historian, scholar, you name it. So first, we get the Early Music Consort of London featuring David Munrow leading in the pleasures of the royal courts. This is music from the troubadours and people like that. And we've got the Spanish courts of the early 16th century, Italian music at the Medici court, the German court of Emperor Maximilian I from the 1400s, the Burgundian court of Philip the Good, and the art of the troubadours. It's all here on one rather delightful disc. When you think about it, all of those Jordi Savall productions on Alia Vox, those themed things about what was going on in various parts of Europe and various royal segments, in the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th century, wherever music existed. Munrow was the pioneer in that type of repertoire, in those collections, in discovering and making that music performable. Really amazing. This one is particularly fun. The two Renaissance dance bands. Yes, Renaissance dances. First we get Susato, 12 dances from Dancerai. Now, Dancerai, oh my God, that was used in public radio pledge drives. And I remember when I was working in record shops when I was a grad student at Stanford, and people would come running in saying, "Oh, I gotta have Susato Dancerai," and I'd be looking at them going "What? Huh? When did you hear that?" And it's well, it was on W bloop 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 or K drip 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 pledge drive. Yes, and they were playing Dancerais. It's wonderful stuff for a pledge drive because the pieces are, nothing is more than 2.5 minutes long. And they're delightful little dancey things, and people would just rush out like the witless lemmings they were and purchase this. It was a great record. It's a fun record. It is, but the witless lemming part was part of the, never mind. Okay, then we have Thomas Morley, Dances for Broken Consort, from the first books of consort lessons. So you've got these two things, and you've got the early consort, Music Consort of London, and the Morley Consort, all led by David Munrow. And of course, these different consorts were all the same three people, but, they changed their name depending on what they were doing. That was also something Munrow pioneered. The London Early Music Mafia, which had the same three people, the same little orchestra forces at all of the period instrument bands. It's all the same people. They just changed their name depending on what label they recorded for. Thank David Munrow for that. Then we've got, Henry VIII. Yeah, and his 6 wives. Music arranged and composed by David Munrow with the Early Music Consort of London. It's just absolutely fantastic. It says here, complete cast list and instrumentation available at warnerclassics.com. Okay. Doesn't say where at warnerclassics.com. I'm not sure how helpful that is. But you've got like all these, various anonymous people, but some little sly inserts by David Munrow himself. And then we have, music for Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain. Gosh, I remember this one very fondly, too. This has got all kinds of fun things with the Early Music Consort of London. I played this on the radio. I did. Yes, I did. We were not public radio at WJHU back in the day. But we had all these Munrow things, and we used them as fillers and as, there were some early music specialist people who had radio shows and used all this stuff. The Art of Courtly Love. This was a big one. This was a really big one. This is Guillaume de Machaut and his age, and the late 14th century avant-garde beginning and continued on the second disc here. Let's see, what have we got? The avant-garde, yes, and then we've got the court of Burgundy again, Guillaume Dufay, Binchois, and all kinds of other people. Troubadours, chansons, rondelets, all those hoogie-googies that they were doing in those days, talking about how they were languishing for the love of the unnamed, beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, courtly lady who was like unique in her day for like having all of her teeth and having avoided smallpox or something like that. It was really very, lovely, just lovely. Oh yes, Bach. This is just Bach. Look at this with David Munrow on the recorder. We've got the, the F major harpsichord concerto for 2 recorders and orchestra with Yehudi Menuhin. George Malcolm is the harpsichordist. David Munrow and John Turner are the recordists. Then you've got Brandenburg concertos numbers 2, 4. Oh, you get number 2 twice and number 4 twice. You get them both twice. We're first with the Virtuosi of England under Arthur Davison, with Munrow on the recorder part, and then with the London Philharmonic under Adrian Bolt. This is the absolute dawn of the period instrument thing. I mean, the pre-dawn, the darkness before the dawn, you might want to call it. This was recorded when were these recorded? 1970 and 72. So there you go. And it's a strange little all Bach collection. La Course en Fête, Renaissance Suite. La Course en Tête, pardon me. Yes, it's not a fête, it's a tête. The Early Music Consort of London, David Munrow. Yes, music for bicyclists, I guess. Renaissance bicyclists. Triumph, they're off. Training, yes, it's like a film thing. Let's see, we also get with this some pieces by David Munrow. The Race Against Oneself. There you go. And then just a lot of other early music stuff that he arranged for various, athletic purposes. Let's see, Guillaume Dufay, Mass, Si la face I parle, with the Early Music Consort of London and David Munrow. There we go. Yes, and he's playing the alto chalumeau and directing. I don't know how he directed while he played the alto chalumeau. A chalumeau is like a clarinet. It was the forerunner of the clarinet. I guess you can conduct and go like this. But this was one of the early Dufay recordings. A beautiful mass, absolutely beautiful mass. Michael Praetorius, Dances from Terpsichore. Yeah, Dances from Terpsichore and motets. You've got also some vocal music and some choral music, some instrumental music. We have Boys of the Cathedral and Abbey Church of St. Alban, the Early Music Consort of London. There you go. Michael Praetorius was a good composer. He was fun. His dates were 1571 to 1621, which is getting a little bit late for some of the stuff Munrow was doing. Then we have the summit, Munrow and Mariner. We've got Telemann, suite for treble recorder, strings, and continuo. Sammartini, concerto for descant recorder, strings, and concertino. And Handel's concerto for treble recorder, strings, and continuo in B-flat major, reconstructed from Opus 4, number 6 by Christopher Hogwood, before Christopher Hogwood was Christopher Hogwood. This is with David Munrow and the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields, of course. And this is in the complete Mariner St. Martin in the Fields box, naturally. So you can get that too. Then we've got The Art of the Recorder. This is before Mikola Petri showed up and started doing all kinds of recorder things. And here it is. I mean, it was around the same time Mikola Petri was showing up. This was when? 1975, 74. There we go. 1974. Piles of recorder music by everybody. And it's all done by period. You've got the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, Anthony Holborn doing things, Purcell, the late Baroque beginning, the late Baroque conclusion, and then 20th century. Britten, Hindemith, Nigel Butterley, the white-throated warbler, and Peter Dickinson, recorder music, 13 minutes from 1973. Brand new music and modern stuff. Then we've got the Philip Ledger Monteverdi Vespers. Yeah, I mean, it's lovely. It's an 86-minute long CD. Pretty cool, huh? With Ellie Ameling, Norma Burroughs, Charles Brett, Robert Tier, Anthony Rolfe Johnson, Martin Hill, Peter Knapp, John Noble, the Early Music Consort of London under David Munrow, and the Choir of King's College, Cambridge under Philip Ledger. Presumably they agreed with how the thing should go. And here it is. Some fabulous singing in there, some really fine singing. Purcell, Birthday Ode, Come Ye Sons of Art. Remember that? Yeah, Come Ye Sons of Art. We used to play this on the radio all the time too. And Love's Golden Goddess, Love's Goddess Sure, the Ode for Queen Mary's birthday. These were both odes for Queen Mary's birthdays in 1692 and 1694 with Norma Burroughs, James Bowman and Charles Brett countertenors. And Robert Lloyd with Munrow and the Early Consort of London. Oh, yes, this was the biggie. This was the biggie. This was the couple disc set that we all had to have. Just to have it. Just because it like filled a huge niche in your collection. Instruments of the Middle Ages and Renaissance. 2 discs. And it was classed by like woodwinds and strings and all kinds of other things. Brass and percussion and strings and brass. And yep, here we go. 1 disc was Middle Ages, 1 disc is Renaissance, and you've got piles and piles of music illustrating all of these strange little noise-making devices that they used back then. Oh, God, was this a great record. I mean, I remember discovering it for the first time. I mean, it's just like, wow. I mean, it was a treasure chest of new sounds and interesting sounds and things you'd never heard before. Totally fantastic. Then we have 2 discs, The Art of the Netherlands. This is all the great Netherlandish, Flemish, not Flemish, that would have been Belgium, right? They would have been Dutchish, whatever they were, composers. And oh my goodness, are they terrific. We've got Josquin and Isaac and oh my goodness, Gijigim and Agricola and Juju and Anonymous. Anonymous is a good one. Barbaro, people we still haven't heard of. And the other early music groups and specialty, Renaissance performer people, and they still haven't gotten to some of these names. I mean, it's really kind of amazing. It's really fascinating here. We've got Brummel and Pierre de la Rue and Isaac and Obrecht and Ockeghem. I was wondering where Ockeghem was. He only pops in here at some point in the motet area. Fascinating. Fabulous, fascinating stuff. What's this thing? Green Sleeves to a Ground with David Munrow, recorder, George Malcolm, harpsichord and piano. Music by Anonymous, John Dowland, William Williams, Henry Purcell, James Paisible, Vaughan Williams, Fantasia on Green Sleeves. Well, there you go. Peter Warlock, Edmund Rubra, and the Vaughan Williams Suite for Pipes. When was the last time you heard that? And Clive Richardson, finally, Beachcomber, whatever that is. You know, it's all based on Greensleeves. That lovely little tune. And finally, last but not least, Monteverdi's Contemporaries. So this is very interesting. You've got people, again, that you've probably never heard of elsewhere. Giorgio Maniero, Five Dances. Really cool. There was this guy, Gusami and Loppi and Priuli and Porta and Bussarti. Is it Bussarti? Yeah, it looks like that. Bussati and Donati and Sigismondo d'India. Okay, well, we know him. And Alessandro Grandi. Look, phenomenal stuff. You know, I throw out these names, most of which we've never heard of, most of which we're not going to hear of anytime soon. And here we have, you know, it's interesting, this first disc, by the way, The Pleasures of the Royal Courts, this was on Nonsuch before EMI picked them up. So there you go. David Munrow, an astounding artist, an incredible historian and musical detective and just plain musician. 21 discs on Warner. Get it while you can. This is stuff that made musical history. And it was a hell of a lot of fun to listen to. And you can do it in bits, mostly. You know, you just take out as much as you want and enjoy it as it comes. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.